Shazam is directed by David Sandberg and stars Mark Strong, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Zachary Levi as Shazam. So what's the story? Billy Batson is a kid who lost his mother when he was younger and has bounced around from foster home to foster home, never feeling like he belongs anywhere. That is until a wizard bestows upon him the ability to become a superhero just by uttering the word Shazam. With the help of his superhero-obsessed foster brother, Billy just might figure out what being a superhero is all about. The thing that I like about this movie the most is that it is just such a breath of fresh air. And I'm not one of those people to hate on DC movies because the fact of the matter is, we're lucky to have comic book movies as good as they are, period. With that being said, DC hasn't had the best run in the past 8 years or so, with people criticizing Man of Steel and Batman v Superman for going too dark, and criticizing Suicide Squad for more or less being a 2-hour trailer. With this, DC realized, hey, maybe rather than trying to be so edgy or hip, maybe we should just try making a good movie. And they succeeded on just about every front. For one thing, this is a different spin on the superhero genre. This isn't about trying to stop some big crazy villain, although that is there, and we'll discuss that later. It's more about a kid just having fun. It indulges that fantasy that every single one of us had at one point as a kid, and that's to be a superhero. And it just revels in that childhood sense of wonder, and it had me smiling through every single scene in this movie. And especially when Billy and his brother are trying to figure out exactly what power Shazam has in the first place, and you see all this little different trial and error. And it also has this feeling of sibling camaraderie where it's just a couple of kids at its core just messing around and playing. This movie is more or less Tom Hanks's Big or 13 Going on 30, where it's a kid getting to play grown-up for a week. So you watch them do things like trying to go on dates or clumsily asking for alcohol. And Zachary Levi, kudos to him. He does such a good job at playing a kid who doesn't quite know how to act grown up. It's all just super cute and charming. Really, this whole movie is cute and charming, especially Billy's foster family that we get acquainted with throughout the film. The dad is super nice and understanding, but also knows when to put his foot down. The whole family has all their little... What was that?
He decided to stand on a bunch of mail and it...
The whole family has their little quirks and weird little things they have, but at their core, they all still love each other and support each other. And I don't know, like, that doesn't necessarily make it a good movie, but sometimes I just need a little happy in my life, okay? If I had to criticize this movie for anything, it would probably be the villain. When I first found out that Mark Strong was playing the villain, I got super excited because I loved him in Kick-Ass, I loved him in The Imitation Game, and he's just really good at playing kind of a mean, sort of intimidating presence. And he still has that in this, but because the movie has such a lighthearted, carefree tone, his super menacing demeanor just clashes with the movie. His motivations are a little trite and overdone, and he's more or less just a thing for our main character to overcome. Thankfully, he is not the main focus by any means. He doesn't get that much screen time. They focus on the things that make this story good. And that's a good-natured yet heartfelt story about childhood innocence and wonder. It's just when the villain comes up, it feels like they're checking boxes on what is basically expected of you from a villain. He felt a lot like an early Marvel villain, like the guys like Ironmonger or Whiplash. You know, they just kind of exist and don't really do much, but they're not egregious either. It's just like, This movie was so refreshing against the cascade of superhero movies that seem to run together. It's familiar in its story, but unique enough in its execution. Heck, they even poke fun at themselves sometimes for following the very same tired story beats that we're so familiar with. It's a fresh take on the superhero genre by adding a sense of childhood innocence into the mix. It's got a surprising amount of heart and just a overall happy vibe. While the villain detracts from the tone that this movie set up, for the most part, he's okay. It's a shame that this was so late in the DCEU's lineup, because if they started out with this, they would have had a fantastic foundation. And I'm gonna give Shazam a 9 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm Higgs, that's been my flick, and I'll see you next time.